Good morning, everyone. My name is Alex Gonzalez. I'm here with Brian Puente. We're the two Adobe evangelists here on campus. And we're here to talk about creating and editing with some of the Adobe mobile apps. We're actually going to look at quite a few of them. Yes, hello to Brian. We're going to look at Spark Post, the CC app itself, Capture, Photoshop Camera, Photoshop Express, and Premiere Rush. Hopefully we can get them all in there. A quick question, because we noticed some differences. Maybe let's do just in the chat. Are you on an Apple iOS phone or on an Android phone? Apple. Well, Jess, you'll see the same thing for sure. We did notice that there were some differences in the apps between the iOS version and the Android version sometimes. So I do apologize for those differences. I think it's just because of a single manufacturer versus multiple manufacturers that have different software versions going on. So let's jump right in here. This webpage that we've shared with you is a resource for reviewing what we talked about and reminding yourself. So save that link somewhere, although it will be on our website, adobe.arizona.edu. Oh, perfect. Yeah, I think the majority will. And I think some of the things, we noticed the most differences with Spark Post, which the good news is you can use on any web browser as well. So it's okay if they can't do it on their phone, they can start it. And some of the features that they didn't have access to, they can finish later on a computer. Okay, so hopefully you're taking time to install some of these. What I would recommend installing first is the Creative Cloud app itself, because this app lets you manage your files. It has some quick actions. It has tutorial videos. It lets you manage your font book. And it also, at the bottom, has a little app launcher where you see in the bottom right, apps. Excuse me. You can see it'll show you which apps you have installed and which ones are available to download. So, and I like scan. Oh, okay. It takes me over. I don't know why I got uninstalled. So you can see which ones you already have, and you can go ahead and launch them from here too. So if I want to check out my Lightroom app, I can get right to it. Oh, look, there's Penny. Very cute. Actually not going to look at Lightroom today, even though it's my favorite app. So the Creative Cloud app, the first thing I like to show is that it's got these nice little quick actions. You can upload to your Creative Cloud library and access those files, I think through almost any Adobe app now, be it mobile or desktop. So for example, this headshot that I took, if I am in Lightroom here, it should be here. Well, maybe not. Oh, it's probably in images. Obviously, I'm very disorganized here. But for example, this 3D material is right here. You can see the same 3D material here and here. So there's a nice kind of ecosystem to it all that lets all your files be instantly accessible. It's got this remove background, which is nice. You don't have to really do, oh, not now. You don't have to open up a dedicated app and go in and remove the background. You can just upload a file, it sends it to the Adobe servers, removes the background, and sends it back to you. Of course, that means you need the internet to use these quick actions, but I'll use a photo from my camera roll. My camera roll is just plants, my baby, my dog. So you can see what my life consists of. I think I liked this baby boy in a David Bowie shirt. So you'll see in the top right, it's removing the background. while it's working on that, let's look at the Learn tab, and then we'll jump back to another quick action. The Learn tab lets you access video tutorials on how to do so many things in the Adobe Creative Cloud Suite. And it's a really nice way to learn and improve and get inspired. And so this is a really useful tool for getting better and looking for ideas. You can watch people who are working live stream, which is pretty fun. So we could watch this guy painting in Photoshop. We're not going to. And it's also how you can access Adobe Max. It's their annual conference where you meet some of the best creators, designers, people in the industry. You see new features demoed live. You get sneak peeks of what's to come. It's a super fun conference. So I really love this Learn tab. It's something I'd recommend killing time with if you're bored. Let's go back home. It says it removed the background, so let's see what it did. If I miss that little pop-up, it's also the cloud in the top right. Image background removed. You can see before and after. Pretty cute. If I hit continue, it'll give me the option to save it to the cloud or to my camera. I'm just going to put it on my phone for now. Okay, there's also convert. So if you have a certain type of file that is specific to a program like Photoshop and Lightroom, you can turn it into a universally accessible file like a JPEG or a PNG. I like autotone as well. It's something that's easy to demo. I don't know. Let's send this picture, Crab Boy. There's export, so you can take files that are in your library. For example, this picture, this headshot that I have, it's actually a Photoshop file. If you look, it says it's a PSDC, which stands for Photoshop Cloud. It's a 270 megabyte file, and it cannot be emailed to somebody to review. But in the same function, there's the share or the export. I can hit share, quick export, and it'll save it as a JPEG that I can grab. Oopsie. That's a video of my baby, sorry. And now this is a universal file format. So I could send this to this guy, David, and say, hey, here's your headshot. Give me your thoughts. Do I need to add some virtual makeup or a clown nose or something? Let me know. I'll hook you up. So that's a really nice function because you might be away from your computer, but if you're saving things as cloud documents, you can grab them from your phone and still share them, even edit them. Let's see how it auto-toned. Pretty good. So it's just a simple, it brightened it and made it warmer. Use that my door. So I could continue, and let's put this one on the cloud just for fun. So that'll show up here. This is also a nice way to manage your cloud files. You can create folders and move things around. And you can also add fonts, which I think the Adobe font book is one of my favorite things, because now when you're signed in to the Creative Cloud on any application, any fonts that you have in your library get installed. So you run into a lot less issues where, oh, I had this Tuppence font on my desktop, but I don't have it on my laptop that I work on from the office. So that's another really nice feature. That's kind of it about Creative Cloud. It's an app with quick actions. There's other things like auto white balance, auto straighten, and cropping that are nice little time savers. But there's dedicated apps for that kind of work as well. Do we have any little questions about Creative Cloud? It's kind of a productivity tool more than, I think, preparing files to get creative with. Great. Let's jump into Spark Post. And Spark Post is, we kind of call it Adobe's kind of gateway drug to digital literacy, to kind of creative storytelling. It's a very user-friendly design program. You can start from templates or you can start from scratch, and it makes it it's very accessible. It's free on your phone or online, but because we have enterprise licenses, we also have access to premium templates and a couple premium features, which is nice. So when you first open it, you'll see the template splash page, or you can go to my posts in the bottom right. You can see I've been demoing this hand. I can tap and delete if I want to clean up my posts. And I can see other posts that I've done. We made pancakes a while back. That was fun. So I generally use Spark Post when I want to make a quick social media post about what we're up to. And it's pretty nice. I can, I was able to make this one in like less than 10 minutes because I started from a template, made adjustments for our color scheme, added some animation, and then saved it out. So it's a nice tool for getting started. All right, so let's go ahead and do that again. I think the biggest appeal of Spark is for people who aren't experienced in design and creating and feel a lot of creativity block, and they say, I don't even know how to start. And that's where the templates come in, where you're literally encouraged to take one and remix it, make your own version of it. And at the end, so this is the one I used for the post for the workshop yesterday and today. You can see it's been remixed 6,200 times. Yesterday, I think it had like 50 less, so it gets used a lot, but it's a big world. And if you want to remix it, you just tap the green big button at the bottom, and it'll take you into the editor. And the first decision you should make is what your format is going to be. So I was making this for an Instagram story, so I'm going to hit the resize button at the bottom, and I'll choose Instagram story. And what's really nice is that it doesn't just change your canvas and leave things where they are. It tries to maintain the design and layout as well. So as you choose different ones, it makes an attempt. Not always, but so Instagram story. And there's also custom if you have a specific size that you would like it to be. So to navigate the Spark Post workspace, when you are on iOS at least, you can pinch to zoom out. You can pull to zoom in. You also have a zoom button here if you prefer. When you're zoomed in, you can hit the magnifying glass in the top center to zoom back out. To edit existing elements, you just tap on them once so that they have a bounding box around them. Then you can tap and hold to move it around. You can use the corner anchors to resize. And you can use the little rotate dot to change the angle. So let's just do this time instead. Why not? So same thing, the circle, I can grab that and make it bigger, move it around. I can't really rotate a circle, but that's okay. In the same sense, sometimes you can't get to the circle because the hand is in the way. I mean, you could zoom. If you have something selected, you can't zoom in. So make sure you tap off. But it's to grab the circle, it might be a little bit tough. So sometimes you just have to move something out of the way to grab it. I think you can look at your layers as well. No, that's a desktop thing. Sorry for thinking out loud. Okay, so these are both kind of image elements, right? A photograph and a shape. The text, when you tap on text, it's the same idea to move it and resize it, except these two anchors are actually only to resize, and to move it, once it's bigger, it lets you do it. Sorry. When it's small, you get this little cursor to move it around. And when it's big, you can touch it and move it. And you can rotate as well. But when you have more text, so let's go ahead and tap on the text and hit edit. Mobile app workshop. Let's do all lowercase this time. I've been yelling at people all week. So resizing it is also how you try and get your things on a single line. So that's, I think, one of the little drawbacks is they don't have like a full-fledged text editor. You kind of need to go in and add spaces or enter down, or just keep pushing things around to get them in lines that you like. But I think it's fairly intuitive. You just push it around with your finger to get what you want to happen. I think like that. And then we'll make it bigger. There. Oh, no worries, Patricia. Thank you for joining. Okay. So to edit things that you've already added, you tap on them and you'll have a series of options in the lower menu. You have tabs, so edit, you have order to rearrange, so I can move it behind the circle. You have adjust, which is how you can move things with the nudge tool to kind of, if the smart guides are driving you crazy, it's putting something perfectly center, but you want it slightly off center. The nudge tool is a nice way to escape that. You can use a slider for rotating and scaling, and you can also, if I wanted this actually to be coming from the other side, I could flip it and then move it over. You can change the color, and if you have a brand laid out, actually, the color is of the shape behind it, so I want nothing behind it. That's actually under looks. So for photographs, they have looks where you can keep the original, you can tone it, and when you tap on some of these, the sliders will show up, which means that you can customize or choose different versions of it. So there's these different duotone options. Let's have a blue hand today. That feels good. Maybe. I'm being curious about the rest. I think I like this blue hand more. And you can also edit it. That's with the enhance option. You can make image adjustments, like change the contrast, brightness, color intensity. You can make something semi-transparent or fully transparent. And they also have even a couple blend modes, which is a Photoshop thing. And blend modes are instructions to combine with the object beneath it. I think multiply is kind of fun today. And these edit options some of them will be universal. For example, order, adjust, and maybe even looks and opacity. But others, for example, if I click the text, now my edit is choosing a different font, choosing a different font color. I still have opacity, effects. I can give it a shape if I want, or a shadow. I don't see much happening, but that's okay. Maybe this font is too small. Let's choose a better font. Ooh, that's edgy. All right, and then effects. All right, let's just give it a shadow and edit it. Oh, it's the same color as the background, that's why. There we go. And we can pull the shadow out a little bit and change the direction. That's probably too dark. That's pretty cool. So the long point made short is this is how you find ways to adjust specific parts of your design. Again, order to change what's in front of what. And then you also have, for type, you also have style, where you can use this little dial, and if you grab the dot and move it, it will give you different versions, design versions of what the text that you've lined out, which is kind of fun. So if you're not feeling very creative, or you don't like what you have, you can take one of these and kind of come up with something different. So that's not the best text design, but we'll keep working with it. Let's check our order and move it to the top. There we go. At least now it's not behind the hand. And there's also, now I don't know where secondary. There's also under the edit, you can find what's called secondary style. So you can slide around the bottom, and secondary style will just give a little highlight to a part of the text. So I can give a different part of it, a different color or something to make it stand out, which is nice. I don't know, there we go. Pretty cool. And then let's just talk about adding more and making an animation and saving it out, and then we'll look at the next step, because we're just getting a little preview of these. So if you want to add more to your design, you just hit the plus button, and you have text, design, images, backgrounds, all this good stuff. For example, if I wanted a design asset, these are static, high quality illustrations and images. I'm a fan of Party Dog, so let's just put him in there. You can also search. So now we have this dog, which doesn't really make sense for our design, but that's okay. And the same rules apply for this part. You can also add, and by the way, I tapped on the background, so I'm editing that. If I don't want to do that, I have to tap in the empty space next to it. And if we add what's called sticker, those are little animated GIFs. I was trying to find our coffee man from yesterday, but I don't know where he went. You get a different set each day. I guess this is all Wednesday. So you could add those, but then it starts to look like a really crazy Instagram story. You can add simple icons, and this is also where you find shapes. So this is fun, a spark or a diamond. Let's see what a diamond gives us. That's pretty good. So you'll find actual diamonds, and you'll find just squares rotated 90 degrees. And you can add these. So say I wanted this square instead. And what it does when you add it is it gives it the color of your design that you're currently working with. So that's pretty nice. I don't think I want this in here, so I'm just going to delete it. And let's go ahead and add videos, images. So you can upload your own images if you want. Actually, let's go ahead from my photo library. I have that. This doesn't make sense, but I do have that picture I removed the background on of my son here. So I can add my own images in here as well. So let's get rid of Party Dog. Sorry. And get this boy here. Put the circle behind him. And put the hand. And put this. This is weird, but that's okay. I just want you to see how quickly you can throw things together in here. And then let's look at adding animations and sharing it out. So at this point, if I wanted to post this as a static image, I can hit the share button in the top right, and I can share it as a JPEG that's solid color, or as something with transparency, that'll be a PNG. So if I deleted the background and I wanted this to have an empty background, maybe you were designing a logo instead, that would be when you would use that. Solid color, and then I'll do save image. And if we look at my camera roll, there's my Spark post. And it's as big as you tell it to be. So this is a nice size. I can easily post this on Instagram, but I won't. If I wanted a little bit of animation to it, I could hit this animation button, and I'll have choices to add animation to the text. Or if I go all the way, I can add animation to the photos. And if you tap them a few times, you'll get different versions of that animation. And there's also color animation that will affect not only your text, but also your icons. If you look at this one that I made a reel for, I actually applied an animation, saved it, applied a different animation, saved it, and applied a third one so that I could have 3 different animations play in one 12-second reel. So let's see here. The first was the image fade, then it was the typewriter effect, and then it was a color shuffle. So just because you can only do one animation, it doesn't mean you can't combine them after the fact. So if I want to save this color shuffle, oh, that's kind of fun. I'll tap done, and I will save, and you'll see now I have to choose, do I want a video or a still image? So this time I want the video. It takes a tiny bit longer, but really pretty quick, all things considered. And then I can save it. And I believe they're always 4 seconds. And there I have the video version that I could use for a different effect. That is the absolute whirlwind tour of Spark. You could spend a whole workshop talking about Spark posts, but I want you to see that you can do basically everything that you would on the Spark on the desktop app in the mobile one as well. Any questions about the Spark app? And it's okay if there's no questions. And by the way, if there are questions along the way, please feel free to chat or unmute. We're a very small group today, and we're here to get you guys the answers that you need. Okay, the next one is going to be capture. What are we doing on time? We're doing okay. So I went back to the CC app just because I like to remind you that there's a launch screen here, and I'm going to tap on capture. And maybe, I don't know if there's a better way of describing what capture does, but I call it a tool for generating design assets. You can create color palettes, you can create vectors, I guess you can make audio as well. You can find fonts, make 3D textures for your, like if you're using Substance. You can even create patterns and brushes, but it's not a photography tool. It does create photo filters, but it's not for taking photographs. So just to be clear on that. So capture, as you can see, I've done a few things here. So it's showing me my library, but if you open it, you might not see anything yet. And the way this tool works is the home screen is your library, and then in the little blue button in the middle is how you can start basically analyzing stuff from the real world and creating assets from it. So you can use existing files, or you can activate your camera and make something. So let's go ahead and check out what we can do. I'm just going to turn the camera on. You'll see my messy office. There's Brian. Let's go ahead to the beginning. So the first one is the materials. So if you, let's make a material out of Brian. That doesn't make sense. So if you have a material that you think would be useful, you could kind of zoom in. Maybe I like this copper. I don't think it plays very nice with the iPhone 13 camera, but then you can tap it. And now I have this material that I can apply as a texture or material to something that I'm creating in Substance, which is really nice. And I'd probably make it very metallic and take the roughness down. And that's starting to look like copper. And I'd probably try and get a better picture than what I just did. And then you can save it. Probably there's already a copper material, but name it something that makes sense. And it gives you these other options if you wanted a gradient or a color theme from it. I don't want those, so I'll hit save. And now my library has a 3D material that I can use. Let's see what else we have. This is a new function. It's called audio, but this is a really, I'm very impressed with this new feature because you can record audio and enhance it in one go, and it does a really nice job. It's using, I think, the same engine that it does in Audition, Premiere Pro, and Rush. So I have a fan running in the background, I think, and if I record this right now, we can clean it up afterwards. So check. And it also transcribes it, which is super great. So if you like to dictate things and transcribe them, you can use this as a tool for that as well. And you can copy your type here. So let's have a listen. And if I record this right now, we can clean it up afterwards. I'm not sure how loud it is for you all, if you can hear the... And if I record this right now, we can clean it up afterwards. But right at the end of that timeline, there's a little audio waveform with some magic on it, some sparkles. If you tap that, it will automatically enhance it, which from what I've noticed, it also changes the levels and it removes hum and background noise. And if I record this right now, we can clean it up afterwards. I'm not sure if you can tell that the background noise is gone or not, but it does a really nice job. So then I'll hit save. I've noticed that X doesn't actually delete the text, so that's a quality of life change I'd like. Sample audio. Friendly reminder to make a nice habit of naming things instead of letting them be untitled. All right, let's keep rolling here. For type, you can actually use it to find a font. It's not perfect, but you can take a picture of text and select the text that you want to try and find. Hit the check mark. And it says, hey, I think that is, so you see, it thinks it says Adobe Capture, so life's not perfect, but I would look at the word capture to reference. And I'm not quite sure it's that bicyclette, but it gives you a lot of similar options at the very least. And you kind of have to look and compare and decide which one might be the correct one. But then you can add that to your font book. So let's just pretend it's Canet. That's an H1 text, and you can save it and have access to it. So I think it's not perfect, but it's a really nice tool to get a similar font at the very least. All right, and then we have shapes, which maybe I can do this. You can create vectors of objects, and I recommend photographing them on a very different background. Okay, and then you can slide the threshold adjuster to try and clean it up however you like. And when you hit the check mark, you can go and erase parts that you don't want and do work like that. I did this earlier with a pair of clippers. Where are they? I know that those were in here. There they are. So they go in your CC library, and they are actually vector files that are very useful when you're designing. So if you wanted these clippers to be part of your logo or something, you don't have to go in and trace them or draw them by hand. Pretty nice. My phone locked again. Okay, and colors lets you analyze an image. Ooh, we're going into recursion land here. It lets you analyze an image for a color scheme. So if you've got something that you like the color palette of, you can actually find those colors. Not exactly, because lighting affects color perception, but you can turn it into a color palette that you can use the eyedropper tool on or anything like that. So for example, if I'm a big fan of the colors of the Apple desktop pattern, I can take a picture. And if I go to image and I don't like where it grabbed, I can choose different colors as well to create this color palette, the swatch, if you will. And if you hit save, this becomes colors that I can access whenever I like. The looks function, if you have an image that you like the way it has been edited, kind of the quality of light. So for example, I like the warmth of this. You can choose an existing image and it will turn it into a preset for you that you can apply to other images, which is pretty useful. So you can see before and after it applied this warming effect. You can kind of tone it down if you don't want it to be as intense, and you can save it as a warm filter is what I would call this. And so this is just a great tool to get assets and tools in your library that you'll regularly use or that might help you when you are creating something. And there's also patterns. So if you want to create a pattern out of something, instead of trying to create a perfect repeating grid, you can use this tool for that. And there's brushes where you can create, I believe, vector brushes, similar to making a material using real life reference materials. So that's what Capture does. Are there any questions about Capture? And that's okay. Awesome. Let's look at, I think, Photoshop cameras next. Let's get Illustrator. Go away, Illustrator. Photoshop camera, excuse me, is a photography tool. Oh, look, there's me. Let's go to this. There we go. And it is a free app, I believe. So you will sometimes see ads in it, but not right now. So I think the Photoshop Camera Studio is your cloud. I don't think I can get it. Just get a picture. That's scary. Okay, so when you take them on the camera, I'm sorry, that's nightmare materials. Let's delete that. They save in there, but you can also pull images from your camera roll. So let's go back to, well, select more photos. Let's add some pictures here. Let's add. Let's add a cactus. There's one. And there's another one. Okay. So I added a few images. You can tell it to access all, but I prefer to add images as I'm working on them. So when you tap an image, you have the ability to edit it, to adjust it, kind of like some of the tools that we saw in Spark and some of the stuff that we saw in the CC app. And when you add an image, it automatically auto enhances. That's what the wand in the top means. So here's what it did. It pulled up the shadows, it warmed it up, it brought the exposure up a little bit, added some saturation. I think, in my opinion, it got, no, a little, maybe a little oversaturated, maybe not. But you can also go in and do it by yourself. You can crop. So it will show you common um, ratios. So say I wanted this for an Instagram post, the biggest an Instagram post can be is 4:5 without getting crop edges, or letterboxing, I guess is a better word. So here I can crop at the bottom, I can rotate if I wanted. And I even have the ability to rotate the entire thing by 90 degrees, to mirror it, and of course to undo. I don't think it actually needed rotating very much. I don't know, checkbox. And then next to the crop button is the adjustments. So you can adjust the shadow detail, intensity. You can bring the highlights up or down. Clarity adds contrast to the midtones to make it appear sharper. And you have exposure, maybe brighten it up a little bit, and saturation and blacks. And it's kind of, blacks is the darkest point, making it darker or brighter. Whites is the whitest point, making it brighter or darker. And contrast is the difference between the darkest and brightest points in your image. Kind of what you see is what you get. So I encourage playing with these. And vibrance is a more subtle color adjustment. And sorry I'm flying through them, but it's just a preview. But then I think it's a good tool for getting images and editing them quickly. But it's also a fun tool for applying filters. So let's go back to just opening up my camera. And if you look in the bottom left, there's the little stars. That means I can choose filters as well. So these filters, you can see it takes a still image and overlays it on top. So there's what it did, and it's kind of weird while you're talking, but it's a quick way to create something that could be shared as more than just a straightforward image. So this is a portrait specific one, and I'm just swiping through the different variations of the filter. There's an ambient sky where it adds skies to the back. It's not a good one if you're in an office. I mean, it's a little surreal. Double exposure will double expose you with different buildings and skies. And portal puts a portal to another world. Giant snails, chameleon coming to eat me. So these are kind of fun, for lack of a better word. But there's a lot of effects here that you can play with, and you can even, I mean, there was a Godzilla versus Kong one, so I can kind of swipe through these. But they make new filters that let you add fun effects to your images. So here they're fighting in front of me, and if I want to explore, because people create these they call them lenses, they're filters. It's the little globe in the top left, and you can find things that aren't actually crazy and silly. You can find just photo effects that this is a candy noir, this is an infrared. So you can actually find these presets to enhance your images without knowing the ins and outs of getting them to look that way, which is, I think, a really nice way to empower new photographers. And then eventually you want that control yourself, but you can create a fake golden hour. There's a ton of really good ones, and most of them are photographic filters instead of just goofy ones. But there's even this glow one. Let's try it out. Let's see if I can look like I'm glowing in my office. Ooh, pretty cool. I wonder if you can change the direction of it, because my window's over there. That's okay. So that's Photoshop Camera, and if you have images that you want to share out, you need to download them to your camera with that button in the bottom right, or you have other share options here to actually post them straight to social media. So I can download my, yeah, I don't want to download that one. Maybe I'll send it to my wife later. So I can download this, and if I go to my camera roll, I think it puts it next to the original one. So there's my edit, and there's my before. Not too bad. That is Photoshop Camera. The next thing we're going to talk about is Photoshop Express, if there aren't any questions. Okay, awesome. So Photoshop Express can do a lot more than what Photoshop Camera can and CC and all those other tools. It really is a small Photoshop that lets you combine images, collage them, add text, and retouch them, as well as adjust them like we did before. And it has some quick start options here. So you could choose multiple images to collage or go into other things, but I'm just going to click edit. And I'm going to start with this picture of my son. And what we'll do is we'll put a new background behind him and we'll edit out some of the food on his face. So when you open an image, in the bottom, you have adjustments. Themes. Themes, this is kind of like Spark being injected into Photoshop Express. You can put themed text and looks on the image. Looks are just basically photo filters. So if I want to apply a photo filter here, I could. So there's autumn, spring, summer, winter, scary baby, bueno. I like bueno. Then you have overlays, which are these little lighting effects you can put, or textures as well. I'm not sure what happens if I put space on there. Yeah, so it overlays it as a texture, which is maybe cool, but not what I'm looking for. So these are fun design tools as well. A lot of these textures are a fun finishing touch as well. You can crop. We saw how to crop. You can adjust. You can even add masks to it, which I don't think today is the time to talk about those. But you have light options. You can adjust the exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, just like in Photoshop Camera. You can go into color. Then you have a little more here. You have texture, dehaze, fade. You can also sharpen. You can add grain or reduce grain if you want it to look like an old film photograph. You can target specific colors with HSL, hue, saturation, luminance. You can do a bunch. So this is a beefy app that we could spend an entire workshop on. But let's just look at the heal tool. So I'm gonna pull to zoom and we can see he's got some beans on his cheek here. And the heal tool just has, well, the basic mode, you just tap and drag and it tries to remove it. But I like the advanced mode because I like to work with something smaller. There we go. So you can change the size of your brush. So I make it a little bigger than what I'm trying to remove. You can change the opacity, which for the most part, you're going to leave all the way up. Otherwise, you'd still see a little bit of what you replaced. And you can change the feather, which I like to have halfway so that it doesn't have a hard edge. It has a blurred edge to it. And then you can tell if it's going to blend it with the destination if we wanted to try and match the tone, or if we just wanted to put fresh pixels right on top. So I usually leave it on blend, and then I'll just tap and draw on the piece of food. The first blob is what I'm replacing. The second blob is what I'm replacing it with. So this is actually what it's like in Lightroom. And you can draw more blobs. I think this is a little beyond what we're doing. But we'll get the one on his lip too. And I gotta find that. So it shows his cheek instead of his lips for the replacement. So that's kind of a preview of the heal tool. And then what's nice, I should be able to add images here. I'm forgetting where did it go? I did it just yesterday. Okay. Themes looks, maybe you have to start from the beginning. Let's see what collage. No, I wanted to put a different background in it. Brian, do you remember where that button went?
I don't.
I might just be misremembering, but I thought you could add other images to this.
Yeah.
Took his food out. Let's go to the mix option. So you might have to start. So I saved it and I'm gonna hit mix and I'm gonna choose my baby. Yeah, so now I have layers. So you have to go into the mix mode. You can't just have everything at once, which makes sense because it would be messy.
Yeah, and Alex,
then I can hit the plus button here.
And Alex, on the homepage of the app, it says replace background in mix.
Oh, okay. So you can also do that. So if you want that, you can cut the background out and replace it. And if you go into mix mode, you're just putting in as many layers as you want. So I could drop I'm not sure. Let's just put the dog behind him. And then you can see I have 2 layers now. The dog is above the baby. So I can tap and hold on the baby and move him above. It's thinking about it. Where'd my baby go? Oh. None. Why isn't it working today? Well, the preview shows us that it's being a little bit strange for me, but that's okay. And you can also do cutouts in here too. So there we go. It's because I was in the cutout menu. I apologize for that. So let's grab our dog and edit it. And I just want to make her bigger, like she's there behind him. Okay. So you can go in and add as many layers as you like. And this is where you can also add text. They have some starting text if you like. So basic, we'll just put a basic text in there. You can use, there's a meme text if you're making memes. And you can choose other ones that are kind of styled similar to Spark Post, in my opinion. All right, and then you have to go back to edit if you want to move it around and make changes. So a quick preview of Photoshop Express. Sorry, I got lost in there. To be absolutely clear here, like Brian said, it's been a little stuck here. You can find replace background down here, and you have to choose which modes you're working in. If you're editing an image, combining images, collaging them. I think the retouch option has even more retouch tools. So I encourage exploring these tutorials that are built in here, because that will also tell you about the selective editing that you can do, which is really cool and powerful. To take an image that you've made and save it, you hit the share button in the top right, just like we did before. And look, you can add watermarks if you want. That's kind of fun. I'm not going to save it. Okay. And then that takes us to Premiere Rush. So do we have any questions about editing images in general on Photoshop Camera or Photoshop Express? Because I did just blast through them so you have a preview, but we do have plenty of time to be chatting about them as well. No problem if you don't. Yeah, this workshop is an encouragement to play, and I think you choose which one you're more interested in playing with first, and then as the ideas come and questions come, feel free to email us with questions at our Adobe email, which is this adobecc@arizona.edu. Let's talk about Rush for a few minutes, and then we'll have time for questions. And I got very confused. I thought it was 9:41. And I was like, wait, did I just go over? But we're good on time here. So I really like Premiere Rush. It's a video editing combining tool that lets you add multiple clips, trim them. Oh, we lost Faith for a minute. Oh, yeah. Thanks for putting the email in there, Brian. So Premiere Rush is a fairly powerful tool for editing video on your phone and on your desktop. Before we even jump into using it, I like to talk about that Rush is based on the cloud. It can save locally if you like, but the nice thing of being a cloud-based application is that you can start on your phone and continue on your desktop. So if we look here, there's some stuff that isn't, I'm not following my own advice. I have a lot of untitled things. But if I hit tune action here and tune action here, they're the same exact file, except one is being viewed on a phone. I think, yeah, I think it prefers vertical. But we have this, I think, almost all the same functionality. So you can have 4 tracks, and a track can have video or still images or graphics, text, and then you'll have your audio effects. This one doesn't have any audio. You can have transitions, and you can make adjustments to what the video looks like, how fast it plays, and it's pretty great. And it's I think it's pretty user friendly once you get used to it. So let's go back here. I'm gonna hit the home button. When you are making a sequence with Rush, you hit the plus button in the bottom center, and your new project starts from, you can take live video or photos, or you can use existing ones. So I'm going to go to my camera roll, and I'll name this Rush Demo 1117. I did a screen recording when I was working on my phone, and looks like I'm stuck in the keyboard. There we go. And then I'll take the finished image as the second part of the sequence. But I can add several things and sequence them together. So then you click create, and it will take you to the production screen, the editing mode. It has to prepare the media. So if you open a fairly large file, this was 8 minutes, so I consider that a fairly big file. You'll have to wait a tiny bit. So this screen, in the top, we have our video preview. So if I hit play, I can watch this video, which is just a screen recording of me making something in Spark Post. In the bottom, I have a few tools. I have the plus if I want to add more to my sequence. I have the project assets view, which lets me kind of see a grid of everything that I have in there, because it can be kind of hard to tell on a phone screen. Then we have the turn on the menu, I guess it's a menu toolbar, so that you can lock, mute, and hide tracks. Remember, you only have 4 tracks, so sometimes it can help to hide or mute one if it's making it hard for you to see what you're doing underneath it. And this is the aspect ratio of your video. So it goes by your first source that you add in, your first asset. So it chose 9:16. If I wanted it to be 16:9, I could do that, but I do want 9:16. And then we have the actual tools. We have the ability to add graphics, which also includes titles, to make effects, to adjust the color, adjust the speed, adjust the audio if there's any, and then make transformations, which include scaling and rotating. And effects includes transitions as well. So let's go ahead and see here. If I pull on the, well, yeah, so if I tap and move it, I'm moving the playhead around to see the video. I actually got a couple of text messages while I was making this. They might be a little bit embarrassing, but you can see my wife helped me get ready for a picture I had to get taken. So I moved it to right before that, and I'm going to tap on the little video, and then I'll see these new tools show up that say you can split the video here, you can duplicate it, you can separate the audio to its own track if it has audio, this doesn't, or you can delete it. So I'm going to split, and then I'm going to move again to just after the text messages. There's another one. And then I will tap and split again. Then I'll hit that center one and delete it. That way I don't have some text messages in the middle of my video. And then I think the rest of it is pretty good. And for some reason, I don't think it put that finished image. If you also prefer, so you can pull to zoom out so you can see the video broken out more. If you don't like to split, like say I need to get rid of that first screen recording, so I'm just pulling to make it zoomed in more, if you will. You can also just drag the end of, actually I don't remember what to call the video segment or sequence. So if I tap on the end and pull it in, you'll see it previews how much of it it's keeping. So I'm getting rid of that. So now my video starts without showing that I was doing a screen recording. I thought I had my still image at the end, but I think I didn't actually tap it. So let's go ahead and add that. I'm gonna hit plus my media, camera roll, and here it is. So now I have an additional image. And let's go ahead and trim. I prefer to just split and delete. I don't know if that's it's user's choice. I don't know. What do you prefer, Brian? I just feel like on the mobile, it's easier to split and delete because it's sensitive to whether you're moving the playhead or you're trimming the clip or you're moving a clip around. So
yeah, I think that on mobile, the split and delete is a bit more accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have the motion of your finger controlling the trim on the clip. So yeah, I like it too. Play however you want it, split it, delete it.
Yeah, sweet. Thanks for your input.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say I wanted this to be a time lapse. It's just a regular video right now. Let's go ahead and zoom it in. We don't need it to be so. There we go. think. Am I doing it wrong? There we go. So let's say I want this to play way faster. I can tap on it and I can choose speed in the bottom, and I will choose the range, and let's just blast it up to 1000%. Why not? The only thing is that I need to find that clip in between, and also make it 1000%. They put the picture in between. That's what happened. Do I have the same clip twice? Is that what I did? Okay, so you'll have to click on each one and change the speed. So let's make that 1000% as well. Yeah, so for some reason the image was in between. And then the image itself right now is 2 seconds. You can see on the left of your play, the second set of numbers, the middle is the seconds, and the last number is each frame. So this one is, I believe, the 30 frame, 28, 29 frames, 30. So every 30 frames will be 1 second. That's what that little counter is. So that'll depend on your source. Or actually, I'm not sure if, does Rush just make them all 30? Brian, do you know that?
I don't, unfortunately.
That's okay. It's not important. I'm just wondering. So if I wanted this video, this final image to play a little longer, I can just tap and drag it out. And now the image will play longer. So the video, I believe I gave it 1000%. So now it went from 8 minutes to 56 seconds. And that's short enough for social media posts. In between here, I could put a, cool. Brian, thanks for being here with us, and have a great day. Brian's got a jet, but I'll be here. So in between here, I can go to effects and I can add transitions. So I put a dissolve, it dissolves in between. And it looks like I didn't delete the recording screen all the way, but that's okay. And then it also dissolves out. So you can quickly apply transitions by just clicking on a clip. And just one more thing I'll show you. On the image, I can apply an effect that gives it motion, that they call it the Ken Burns effect. So now the image will kind of pan and zoom instead of being a static image. And what I can do now is, if I go home, it saves it. And if I were to open Rush on my desktop, I could continue working on it, or I could go ahead and export it out straight from my phone by hitting the share button. And you have quality settings. There's some presets here. I choose automatic, and then you export. And now I've taken a video and an image, trimmed the video, sped it up, cut out unwanted parts at the ends, and added an image with a pan and zoom effect, all from my phone. And I could also be editing audio as well, but I just don't think there's time for that. So here's that video. You can see a time lapse of the Spark post that I made for this event. And with that, we have time for questions if you have any, or you have 15 minutes of your morning to go do whatever you like. Thank you so much for joining us.